So I know everyone's excited to see how this menu works, so let's jump into that. We'll press the large menu button in the middle here, and that'll take us into our menu mode. As you can see, a menu appears on the right hand side of the display. By turning the knob we can adjust the cursor, and if we want to select and go into one of the menu options, we press in on the menu button again to enter. So as you can see, we've entered our display color mode. To adjust the color, we turn the knob left or right, and as you can see, we've gone from green to red. There's an orange color, which isn't showing up very well on the camera, but it's definitely a little brighter in person. There's a blue mode, and of course our green mode, which we started with. So you've got your green, blue, orange, and red color options on the display, which is very neat. If we want to exit and go back to the menu, we push in again. Second thing we can go into is the brightness. There's an option to adjust the day brightness and the night brightness. And what that means is you can adjust the standard level, which is going to be the day brightness, and then you can adjust it for the night level so that when you press that dim button on the right hand side of the radio, it jumps to the level that you've adjusted for. So if you're someone that wants it very dim at night, what you can do is set it, bright for the day or wherever you want it for day use, and then when you hit that dim button, it'll jump to whatever your setting was for night. So if you would jump into, like, say, the night option here, we moved our cursor down, we press to go into it, and we can turn the level here, and you can see, of course, it gets dimmer and brighter. So we can say, hey, that's going to be our night level, and we exit, and then when we press the dim button, it'll jump to whatever that level is. There's a weather alert option here, and then you can jump in there and turn that on or off. There's a weather alert scan option and a weather auto scan, which will search for the weather channel that's the strongest automatically. There's a contrast option where we can adjust the contrast of the background on the radio. And then from there we go into the keytones. Keytones we can go on or off, and that's to that little beeping that you hear. You can turn that off if that annoys you. One of the nice things about having the keytones on is when you try and adjust some of these settings, when you hit the very top end of the range or the bottom end of the range, it'll kind of do a different sounding beep, so it lets you know you've hit the end of the range. There's a radio check option, and I'll show you this one. You can go into the test here and do the first test and hit enter. It'll check your battery voltage, and we get a pass on that one. Press the button again. Takes us into a push to talk test to check the power output, so we'll key our microphone. It tells us we have a proper power output. It tests for power output between 3.3 watts and 4 watts. And we can jump to the next test where it checks the antenna to make sure we have a good match. It tells us that our SWR is good and gives us a pass on that. And we can jump out of there. It takes us back out of the menu. One of the last settings here is we can go to the settings option on here, and it tells us which software version we have on here, which is kind of interesting because it may mean that there's going to be upgrades for the radio. They can change the software, different frequencies for different areas, so it may mean that to expand the frequencies on this radio might be as simple as uploading some software eventually, which is kind of interesting.